bet it's Dr. Candy.
Hi, everyone. Well, can somebody give me a thumbs up that they can hear me? Okay. We will start in just a minute or two. I still see some people logging on, and I have to admit everybody to the meeting.
Sanjay, this is a sound check. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and get started. Thank you, Dr. Barlow, for keeping an eye on the lobby for me. Welcome, everybody, to virtual town hall for Riverside Methodist Hospital's internal medicine program. My name is Sanjay Patel. I'm a hospitalist and associate program director for the residency program. I've been with the program for about 4 years now, and I'm excited to share our program with all of you, and be able to have our residents here join us as well to help answer some questions. Just a general layout for the town hall. We have Dr. Tom Bowes, who's our program director online. He's going to give us a brief overview of the program. We have a couple of our chief residents. I know Chris and Ellen, I see you, who will give us a little bit of their take on the program from the chief resident perspectives. And then we're really just going to open up the rest of the town hall to be really a Q&A for all of you all as potential applicants, and introduce some of our residents who have been able to join us tonight to be able to answer some questions and give you an idea of the things that drew them to our program. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Dr. Bowes.
Well, thank you, Sanjay, and welcome everyone. We appreciate your interest in the program and taking the time to learn a little bit more about Riverside through the session that we're providing here this evening. As medical students, you're entering your fourth and final year, and a very exciting phase of that fourth year is the opportunity to evaluate, apply, and hopefully interview at many of the top programs that you're considering for your subsequent training. The goal of our meeting here today, as mentioned by Dr. Patel, is to introduce each of you to Riverside Hospital and more specifically to our residency program. And for those the students that are attending that are less familiar with Ohio, to acquaint you better with some of the opportunities available here in Columbus and Central Ohio. That information will be provided by our chief residents, and both they and the residents that you're going to have a chance to talk to, I'm sure will be able to fill you in on the more specific information relative to opportunities and experiences available here in Central Ohio. I could have the next slide. For those outside of Ohio, we are located in the central of the state. We're roughly equidistant from Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Indianapolis. We're about 2 hours from Cleveland, less than 2 hours from Cincinnati, 3 hours from Pittsburgh, and about 2 hours from Indianapolis. We're about 6 hours by car from Chicago. Within Columbus, we're located in the northwest quadrant of Franklin County, as you can see here, and roughly about 10 miles from downtown Columbus. When you think about Riverside, think of Riverside as an independent academic medical center. I like to think of the Riverside model as a hybrid, combining many of the elements found in typical community programs and those opportunities available in large university or what we typically call tertiary care hospitals. Since Riverside was founded on this campus over 60 years ago, it has evolved from a 200-bed community hospital serving the needs of the northwest quadrant of Columbus to a full-scale tertiary care referral hospital with over 900 beds, supporting not only our residents here in Columbus, but also patients being referred here from many of the other hospitals in the Ohio healthcare system and from other smaller facilities throughout East Central and Southeastern Ohio. Last year, we accepted over 10,000 transfers from other hospitals. This allows us to function as a more fully equipped major teaching hospital, concentrating many of the more complex and therefore interesting patients to be evaluated and to learn from our residents under the direction of the faculty. In that regard, we serve as a major teaching hospital, and we're committed in that role not only to serve graduate medical education, but also undergraduate medical education through our affiliations with 4 medical schools here in the state. Each month, we have between 30 and 40 students rotating on various rotations, including critical care, emergency medicine, hospital medicine, ambulatory medicine, and many of the major internal medicine subspecialty services, which I will be discussing more in just a few minutes. Our program and the hospital is fully accredited by the ACGME. I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about our campus facilities. All of our rotations, or all of the required and most elective rotations, are in fact available here on one campus. We are the 5th or 6th busiest single hospital campus in the United States. And that includes both ambulatory, emergency, and inpatient patient care. Our inpatient facilities include 6 interconnected buildings, which you see here, which organize patient care along the major service lines, including cardiology, neuroscience, women's health, critical care, and surgery. 800 of our inpatient beds are private, and we have an additional 100 semi-private observation beds to help offload our very busy emergency room. Our facilities include 5 intensive care units, including a cardiac intensive care unit, 2 medical intensive care units, a neurosurgical critical care unit, and a surgical and trauma critical care unit. We also have a recently opened bone marrow transplant unit and a comprehensive stroke unit. Next slide. Ambulatory medicine for our residents is completed in our freestanding Riverside Community Medicine Clinic pictured here. All of the required ambulatory training is located in this two-level facility, which is a short 5-minute walk from the hospital and has an adjacent area for parking for the convenience of our residents and faculty. The residents will complete all their longitudinal clinic experience as well as many of the subspecialty outpatient clinics in this facility, supported by our full-time hospital medicine or general ambulatory medicine faculty preceptors and a variety of our subspecialty preceptors that support the various subspecialty clinics. The facility also includes an on-site laboratory and pharmacy. Well, graduate medical education at Riverside includes not only internal medicine, but 8 additional residency programs. Collectively, our 9 residency programs support graduate medical education for over 150 residents. As you can see, the internal medicine program is the largest of the programs here at Riverside, with 18 categorical positions per year, 6 preliminary spots, and we're further supported by 12 transitional year residents who spend between 80 to 85% of their clinical experience integrated with the various internal medicine rotations. The other residency programs available here at Riverside are listed, which includes the size of each of those programs. We do offer a small number of fellowship opportunities that are listed here, and these are located primarily at Riverside, with the cardiology and pulmonary fellowships being shared between a sister hospital and our system doctors and Riverside. Both of these programs are going to be expanding from 2 to 4 fellowship positions per year at the beginning of the next academic year. The internal medicine program is very strongly supported by our core faculty, which includes 12 associate and/or assistant program directors and over 120 faculty supporting ambulatory medicine, hospital medicine, critical care medicine, and all of the major subspecialties. We also include a faculty advisor program so that each resident in our program has a dedicated faculty advisor with whom they meet quarterly and as needed to help provide support for their personal and professional development. Our program is further supported by 3 chief residents, including 1 resident primarily overseeing the schedules for the interns, a second for the senior residents, and this year we added a third, 4th-year chief resident overseeing quality improvement and patient safety. We have a full-time program administrative consultant and a full-time research outcome coordinator to help support our residents' scholarly activity, including clinical research and presentations, either oral or poster presentations at local, regional, and national conferences. Our program curriculum was redesigned about 6 years ago. Like many programs in internal medicine, we've adopted the X+Y model. In our program, we use what we call the 4+2 model, which alternates 4 weeks of inpatient experiences with 2 weeks of ambulatory medicine. Our nighttime coverage, including general medicine and ICU coverage, is integrated with 2-week night float rotations, which are incorporated into those 4-week inpatient blocks. All residents receive 3 weeks of vacation per year, which are selected from either the ambulatory blocks or their elective rotation blocks. In our ambulatory medicine incorporates a team model, which consists of 3 18-resident color teams with 6 residents from each class in the clinic during each 2-week period of time. This is an outline of the PGY1 inpatient curriculum, which as you can see includes 3 blocks of hospital medicine, 2 4-week blocks of critical care medicine. There are 2 2-week blocks of night float general medicine and a 2-week block of night float medicine. And in addition, we have exposure to all of the subspecialties listed here, including cardiology, pulmonary medicine, nephrology, endocrinology, and neurology. This template gives you a better view of what the program would look like for an intern. So 6 of our interns would follow the intern A template, 6 the intern B template, and of course the remaining 6 the intern C template. And you can see it's structured so that at any given time, there is a 2-week block of ambulatory covered by intern in each of these 3 groups, which be on the same color team. So intern C would be covering ambulatory medicine in the first 2 weeks. Intern A would cover the same cohort of patients in the second 2 weeks. And then in the third 2 weeks, intern B would support that. So we have 3 teams, 3 cohorts. The color boxes in this schematic represent the inpatient rotations, and the black box is the 2-week ambulatory blocks. There is no weekend call during the ambulatory blocks, which gives the residents golden weekends that are symmetrically distributed every 6 weeks throughout the academic year. Last year, we developed a new wrinkle to our curriculum schedule structure by developing 4 clinical tracks, which are designed to better prepare each resident for his or her post-residency plans. The pathways are listed here. For example, the ambulatory pathway focuses more on outpatient and ambulatory rotations in the second and third year, while hospital medicine adds additional rotations to prepare for a career in that specialty. A subspecialty fellowship pathway, which incorporates more opportunities and experiences within the subspecialty of interest for that given resident. And a special, smaller scholarly research track is for residents that are interested in devoting more time and effort to completing additional research above the usual research that most of our residents have an opportunity to become involved with. So this is a layout of the PGY3 rotations schedule templates, as you see here. The yellow numbers at the top indicate the rough estimated number of residents per class. So typically we have 2 people per year in the research track, 2 in the primary care track, and roughly an equal number are distributed between the fellowship and the hospital medicine tracks. What differs is the number of weeks of experience or exposure during the course of the academic year based upon the track that's selected. For those in the research track, they have 3 half days out of every ambulatory block reserved or dedicated research time and meeting with our 2 associate program directors for scholarly research. This is a highlight of some of the differences between the primary care and hospital track for your review. As you can see, the primary care track has 18 weeks of ambulatory medicine combined with an additional 4 weeks of outpatient ambulatory medicine in an affiliated private practice clinic model during the course of their PGY3 year, while the hospital medicine track has a slightly decreased number of ambulatory blocks, but an increased number of hospital medicine experiences. We have a rich variety of general electives that the residents can choose over the course of their residency training. We currently have 20 weeks of elective time dedicated for residents to select from this menu for their individual learning experiences. And our goal is to expand that from 20 to 24 weeks over the course of a 3-year residency program in the next academic year. Most of these rotations are 2-week opportunities, but there's also an opportunity for 4-week rotations. And we do support, facilitate, and encourage away rotations for residents interested in doing a audition rotation for a fellowship in the specialty of their choice at an institution that they have a high interest in. Didactics are a very important part of our residency program. We have a rich variety of didactics that are organized into a morning and noontime schedule, which I'll outline in a moment. As you can see, the different conferences are designed to provide different models or modalities for resident learning, including morbidity and mortality, patient safety, an emphasis on point of care ultrasound, clinical diagnostics, board review, and EKG and chest X-ray interpretation, to name a few. Ambulatory conferences are built into the ambulatory blocks that are attended by the residents during their 2 weeks of ambulatory medicine. So this is the morning conference schedule as it currently exists. Our senior residents attend a special senior board review supported by 2 faculty members, which occurs on Tuesday mornings. And 4 to 5 residents are selected each week to attend a mock code blue simulation, which is offered on Tuesday mornings throughout the academic year. In total, the interns will get about 4 different mega code blue simulation experiences, roughly 1 every 3 months throughout their intern year. Board review for the entire program is offered on Wednesday mornings. And as mentioned, for those on the ambulatory blocks, we have a special ambulatory conference featuring a variety of primary care topics. Roughly twice a month, we have grand rounds, which occurs on Friday morning, and that's provided by our PGY2 residents as part of their scholarly activity. Our noon conferences occur roughly between 12:15 and 1, often accompanied by lunch, and they include specialty core lectures on Mondays and Tuesdays, a clinical case conference on Wednesdays, for ambulatory residents, an ambulatory conference on Thursday at noon, and for our other residents, various diagnostic conferences. POCUS stands for point of care ultrasound, and that occurs roughly twice per month. And during that experience, 4 to 5 or 4 interns or 4 residents and interns are selected to alternate and go up to the sim lab and work with faculty for hands-on experience in using our ultrasound equipment, our ambulatory, our ultrasound simulator, and in many cases we use a live model for residents to get more comfortable with the different probes, the different views, and the interpretation of the ultrasound imaging. Interactive conferences on Fridays include chest radiology and EKG, and every other month we alternate morbidity and mortality along with patient safety conferences. As mentioned, we have a variety of simulation experiences which are offered through our state-of-the-art simulation facility, which is a full freestanding facility located on the 4th floor in the red building here on the campus. Simulation activities for our residents experience include practice doing procedures such as central lines, arterial catheter placements, and intubations. We simulate management of ICU care, patient care emergencies, code blue simulation I mentioned, point of care ultrasound I've also mentioned. We also have simulation for rhythm recognition and management and improvement in doctor-patient communication skills, as well as end-of-life goals of care discussion. Next year, we're going to be adding a physical exam simulation skills center to part of the curriculum for our interns. This is just a few views of the simulation equipment and the experiences available. All of our residents complete simulation training for all of the procedures mentioned before they actually start their ICU rotation. The majority of procedural experience occurs during the ICU, and by the end of the PGY 1 year, all of our interns will have had at least 8 intubations, 5 central lines, 2 hemodialysis catheter insertions, 5 arterial lines, and many of them have experiences with thoracentesis and paracentesis, and occasionally lumbar punctures. Our ultrasound instruction includes faculty support, including Dr. Patel, who is the leader and the founder of our ultrasound program. We have several other faculty and our chief residents that help support the simulation training that occurs mentioned earlier. Pictured in the lower left-hand corner is our ultrasound simulator module, and in the center panel is the volunteer that comes in once a week and offers to be the model so that residents can practice using the ultrasound on a live patient. As mentioned earlier, we also use the simulation to support our procedural experience. And finally, residents have a chance to use the ultrasound at the bedside. We have several portable ultrasound probes that are available for use on services like pulmonary medicine and one of our academic hospital medicine services known as clinical medicine. Most of our didactics occur in the fully dedicated Medical Education Conference Center, which was completed just 3 years ago. It includes a state-of-the-art computer lab an intermediate classroom that's used for teaching rounds and small workshops, our main didactic classroom where most of our morning and noon conferences occur, and 2 small conference rooms that can be used for patient handoffs or patient daily table rounds for selected services. This facility is strictly for the use of residents and medical students. Pictured here is the large didactic classroom I referenced. In the smaller room to the right, the intermediate classroom is used for ClinMed for their daily patient management and teaching rounds. One of the important goals upon finishing your residency is successful completion of the American Board of Internal Medicine certifying exam. To support that, we use a curriculum offered through the American College of Physicians called MICSAP that you may be familiar with. It stands for Medical Knowledge Self-Assessment Program. All of our residents during the beginning of their intern year receive the MICSAP material, which is offered in book form, but we use the electronic form so that you can download and use this information on your smartphone, your tablet, or your PC. Importantly, is we're proud of our ABIM board certification pass rate. The national average for programs is 88%, and as you can see, for the last 6 consecutive years, we've enjoyed a 100% pass rate, which is to be celebrated but expected. This is the standard that we expect. Fellowships is an important consideration for many residents. We provide a lot of support for residents interested in pursuing a fellowship. We have a dedicated associate program director that helps mentor and support the pathway towards fellowship. We have outstanding opportunity for scholarly activity that helps support to build your CV to make you a more competitive applicant. And we do mock interviews, virtual mock interviews before the fellowship interviews to better prepare you for that important interview experience. The next 3 slides are organized to provide you with an idea of the fellowship programs where our residents have successfully matched over the last 8 years. The programs or institutions listed with asterisks indicate the number of residents that have actually matched into those programs over the last 8 years from our residency program. So in cardiology, allergy immunology, sleep medicine, pulmonary and critical care medicine, nephrology, rheumatology, endocrinology, infectious disease, you can see that we've had great success placing residents into a wide variety of highly reputable fellowship programs, not only here in Ohio and in the Midwest, but across the entire United States. In summary, I'd like to outline the program strengths. They include our dedicated faculty who are motivated, accessible, and committed to resident education. The relationship that our residents enjoy with our with our faculty is what I consider to be one of our strongest assets. Our excellent facilities, which I've attempted to outline here today, a culture that supports scholarly inquiry and emphasizes a growth mindset, supportive supervising residents that provide a collaborative learning environment, and a dedicated, experienced, and supportive medical education administrative staff. Additional strengths include our 4+2 curriculum, which we think is optimal for balancing inpatient and outpatient learning experience. Our clinical rotation tracks, which allow residents to individually better prepare for their chosen careers. A highly organized, instructed, interactive didactic teaching conference opportunity, which I've outlined, and the structured patient care simulation experiences to enhance the residents' clinical skills. Our dedicated and effective board preparation, providing the outstanding pass rate that I've already described, and the super interaction our residents have with undergraduate medical education. Scholarly activities available for clinical research and quality improvement, our procedural skills training, our structured focused curriculum, and our preparation and support for fellowship placement. Recently, Dr. Patel has championed the development of Academic Academy of Clinical Educators, or our ACE program, which is an 18-month longitudinal curriculum, which is optional, but allows those residents interested in further enhancing their skills as a clinical educator that they'll be able to utilize in their subsequent career, whether it's in ambulatory medicine, hospital medicine, or any of the various subspecialties. And more recently, we've enhanced our support for resident well-being and for equity, diversity, and inclusion, which our chief residents are going to describe in more detail in a few moments. A few pieces of information regarding interviews here at Riverside. So our interview season will begin the first week in October. We recognize that we will not be able to download your applications until the end of September, but we are fully equipped, energized, and ready to hit the ground running. So we will be offering interviews within the first 3 or 4 days after we have access to the applications material. That means that we will be starting in the second half of the first week of October, and we'll be interviewing roughly every other week throughout the interview season into January. All of our applications are accepted through the ARIS program, and we are offering interviews through the Thalamus platform. Materials that we send out to each applicant once they schedule an interview include a more detailed overview of the program, which allows me to drill down into more detail on many of the highlights I've already provided you with this evening. Also, a summary of our benefits, and also a 15-minute virtual video tour of our facilities. We interview 8 applicants per day, all during the morning, during 2 40-minute interview blocks. Each of the 80-minute interview blocks allows us to interface 4 faculty with 4 applicants. The 20-minute interviews, which are one-on-one and all virtual, will include a meeting with the program director, 2 of our faculty members, and 1 of our chief residents. Following these morning sessions, all of the applicants will have a chance to meet with 2 residents during the noon hour for question and answers. We are offering 2 in-person second look visit dates, which the chief residents may outline further. One will be at the middle of our interview season, which will be the Friday before the Thanksgiving holiday week, and the second second look visit will be offered the 3rd or 4th Friday of January at the end of the interview season, but before applicants complete their match lists. So these are, I'm going to close with a picture, which I think speaks 1,000 words. These are our graduates from this past June, and they recently completed their ABIM exam. And like the past 6 years, we're expecting nothing less than 100% pass rate. With that being said, I wish you all the very best, and I leave you with one thought that I hope will give you some comfort. A review of the match data from last year indicated that 88% of all internal medicine applicants matched into one of the top 4 programs on their rank list. Think of that. 88% got into one of the top 4 programs. So relax, enjoy the experience, and best of luck in the interview season. I hope we get a chance to meet with many of you during the interview trail. Thanks again for your attention. I turn things back over to Sanjay.
Thank you, Dr. for that. And we have a few more slides here, and I want to take the opportunity to introduce a couple of our chief residents, Chris Wasco and Ellen Tan. Chris, Ellen, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. We're very excited to see everybody on this webinar. For the next about 15 minutes, we will talk about the fun stuff. So we'll get to know Columbus and then also learn about outside of work and resident events that we have. So Columbus, Ohio is the capital of our state, and it's the largest metropolitan area, which I like to describe it as it has like a big city feel, but also small town vibes, meaning there's a lot of suburbs in the outlying area where many of our residents do live. Popular neighborhoods that you'll hear of when you come to Columbus or visit or do some research is the Short North, which is very popular for its arts district as well as apartments. And then German Village is very popular for many of its restaurants. We have downtown area, and then our suburbs include Grandview, Dublin, Hilliard, Upper Arlington, and Clintonville. So some fun facts that I looked up before getting on this call was basically we have been named as the 69th best place to live in the US by the US News and World Report out of 150 cities. As well as we're the #4 best city for young professionals as ranked by Forbes. So it truly is a great area to do your residency. I'm a little biased because I am from this area and I was born in Columbus. So if you have further questions about it, feel free to ask. And then the population size is about 900,000. So we're actually the 14th largest city in the United States. And as you can see, I love looking at these graphs because you can tell, is the population growing? And that's one of the main attractions I feel of Columbus, that people are actually moving into Columbus. And then we often hear about this fun fact of Columbus, that we are a food test market center. And this, delving into the history of this was very, popular in the 1980s to 2000s, just due to the fact that Columbus is in a very central location, meaning we're like mentioned with Dr. Bose, close to a lot of the large cities like Chicago, Pittsburgh, and we're in the Midwest. So it's very easy to travel, as well as our demographics here are very representative or a microcosm of the United States. So traditionally, that's why we've been called a food test market. So we have a lot of different restaurants and cuisines that are available, as well as breweries. So you can see some of the ones listed on the left there. That many of our residents have gone out to for happy hours. So definitely a great food scene and drink scene. Next, if you're an outdoors person, there are tons of parks and outdoor areas for activity. There are 20 total metro parks, and you see a few of them here. So High Banks is the one at the bottom left, and it is a great place to run as well as to hike. And then downtown is shown on the top left, and that is the Scioto Mile. We also have the Park of Roses, where it's super nice to watch all the roses bloom, and literally there are fields and fields of roses. And then we have the Olentangy Trail, which I believe is about like 20 miles long, and it's very popular for biking as well as running. And then the Franklin Park Conservatory is also another fun place to go with a greenhouse in the bottom right. Another fun fact I did discover was we are ranked as #10 best running city in the US. Other events around town, Short North is shown. It is a big arts district. There is a monthly gallery hop there and a lot of locally owned businesses. And then we have malls, shopping malls. So you'll see Easton in the bottom right. It's an outdoor shopping mall with a lot of restaurants and luxury brands. And then we have a place called COSI, which piques interest in us residents that are interested in science. They actually have an adult night called COSI After Dark, where you get to see some of the exhibits and also learn about brewing and distilling different alcohol. And then top, we have the Dublin Irish Festival, which is actually like the largest Irish festival outside of Ireland. So that's really cool to witness. And then the Dublin Bridge Park District is one of our newer neighborhoods, which houses a really nice bridge as well as many, many restaurants. This is our Columbus Zoo. So our Columbus Zoo has also been very popular. If you're familiar with Jack Hanna, so he's the one that kind of helped us form the Columbus Zoo. And this is a zoo lights. So every winter, basically they string up lights surrounding all of the different exhibits and areas around the zoo. So it's always a fun winter event to go to. And now to our sports fans. So I'm sure you've heard when you come to Columbus, you're going to no doubt hear about our Ohio State Buckeyes. So our largest university in Columbus is the Ohio State University, and we have a Big Ten football that's very like the season's coming up, and it's going to be a really popular event for a lot of people, and it gets really busy around here. You'll definitely feel the energy and the spirits, as well as if you're interested in the band portion. They don't call us the best damn band in the land for no reason. So yeah, feel free to check the Buckeyes out if you're in town. Other sports that you may hear about is we have a Columbus Crew soccer team. They're part of the Major League Soccer, and they recently had a new renovation of their stadium, which is pictured in the bottom left. I also put in a picture of a music festival for those that are not as biggest sports fans, as they do hold music festivals like the Breakaway Festival at the Columbus Crew Stadium. So the music scene is also really nice here. Some other sports that you see are Clippers. They're part of the minor league baseball, and they're very popular for their Dime a Dog nights. And then Blue Jackets are the National Hockey League team. And we actually have a lot of discount tickets that OhioHealth can help residents as well as other associates purchase. And then within just a few hours drive, you can go to all of these places. So the other two big cities in Ohio would be Cleveland, as well as Cincinnati. And then we also have a very popular amusement park, Cedar Point, that's up north. And then we also have Hocking Hills, which is a very popular hiking location in the south. Okay, on to more resident events. So you'll see a lot of fun pictures of some events that we normally hold every year. So it is a tradition that we have almost weekly happy hours that are planned by our current residents at the local breweries around town. Normally we get together after work on a Thursday and just relax. And then we welcome our interns every year. So our rising chiefs, which I think we have Amy and Sarah with us today. So they will be the next chief after we are done with our year. They plan the intern welcome event, and this year is at Pins, which is the picture in the bottom middle. It's a tradition that after night shifts, so in the ICU as well as day nights, you go together to have brunch as a night team just to celebrate the week ending. We also have annual Rising Resident Retreats. This year we went to Dave & Buster's. And then MedEd sponsored events. We've had Meaningful Meals, which is a really cool event where you get to have a meal on the house and you get to meet other residents and other specialties at Riverside. We have had seasonal events that are sponsored for everybody, like apple picking and gingerbread house competition. This is also a interdisciplinary event that every resident is invited to from different specialties. More about the two groups that Dr. Bose mentioned. We have a well-being champion group, which we have faculty members a part of, a chief resident is involved, as well as a panel of residents that have expressed interest in helping with our well-being initiatives from every single year. And this is an opportunity for you to get involved and hone your leadership skills within our residency. So our main mission is to foster a residency environment where individuals feel supported and empowered to upkeep their individualized concept of well-being. And the three pillars that we focus on is community and belonging, workplace structure and practice, as well as reflection and growth. So some of the pictures you see, we had an ice cream social last year. We had a trivia night at one of our attendings' house. And on the next slide, we have some of the other initiatives that we have formed or will foster this year. So we started a book club last year. So in the bottom left there, we had about a quarterly book, a new book that we read as a group. And that was the Midnight Library over there. And we met at the Wine Bistro, a local restaurant, and basically enjoyed each other's company as well as talk about the book. We have we're trying to form more sports and physical activity, like intramurals this year. That has been something that many of our residents are very interested in forming again. We are hoping to do more of like reflection and self-growth events like Meaning in Medicine, which is where we're going to meet after hours and have a topic that we discuss that we normally don't talk about in medicine, like imposter syndrome, or how to tell your story and how to use your core values to navigate your path, basically. And it'll be important to incorporate our whole residency, including faculty members, in those groups, as there's a lot of wisdom and knowledge that we can gain from each other. We talked about the trivia night. We had an inpatient white elephant exchange last year around the holidays, which was super fun. So we bought, for those of you that haven't done white elephants, we bought gifts like less than $15, $20. And then everyone brings a gift, and then you pick a number, and then you go around the room based off of your number and you open a random gift, and people can steal your gifts if they think it's something that they want. So it gets kind of competitive. So that was fun, and we hope to do that again this year. And then I'm hoping to start an art and literary magazine filled with submissions from residents about creative pieces or activities that they enjoy outside of work. Next, we have our Jedi Alliance. This is also a new group that we formed last year. It stands for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. Our main 4 pillars that we are working on as a group is recruitment, community engagement, so having more volunteering opportunities for our residents, as well as advocacy, support and mentorship, so building a cohort of faculty members, even from different specialties, that can provide mentorship and sponsorship for our residents, as well as education and professional development. So we've had 2 sessions so far. One was about unconscious or implicit bias training for everyone. And then we also had another talk about words matter, or destigmatizing language, both in written and verbal form, that we may use in our daily interactions with others, and how that may affect patient care. So we're hoping to have more of these educational sessions. And we have a fun event, which, next slide, we are very excited for, that's coming up. We did find an event at our Columbus Museum of Art, so another attraction, and they have bar art music, or BAM Thursdays, basically featuring local artists or DJs, music performances, as well as art. And it's a time where they welcome everybody to gather, as well as come to the museum for free. So we're hoping to have this as a residency-wide event, so we can all get together after work, as well as family members and significant others and kids are invited. So we're very excited to host that coming up soon. And then lastly, just a few more pictures. We really encourage residency environment to be a place where you can build friendships both in and outside of work. We all know that, medicine is hard. Residency will be hard no matter where you go. There will be very long hours. But I feel like one of the things that can help is when you're able to make those meaningful connections with your colleagues. So we hope to create that environment for all of you. All right, we'll head to our question and answer panel.
Well, thanks. And I just wanted to leave this as our last slide. It has our Instagram handle, our Twitter, or if you're calling it X these days, handle, email, website. And we are recording the meeting for anybody that either is able to or is unable to stay for the whole meeting or wants to review anything. So we'll get that posted somewhere, and look out for the link on one of our social media sites by tomorrow or day after we get a chance to edit it. So I'm apologize. I'm keeping my video off. I have to be on 2 devices, and I still can't see the chat, everybody that's on, and the slides. So I'm trying to coordinate all of this. But I do want to welcome some of our residents who have taken time out of their busy evenings to join us and really be able to interface with you all as applicants. I'm just going to call out their names and have them introduce themselves. While I'm doing that, if anybody has questions that they want to pose to our panel, please feel free to type that into the chat, and we can start with that after we do our introduction. So I'm going to start with some of our interns, and if they had to jump off, I apologize. I can't see the list of everybody here, but Sarah Pomerantz, are you still on?
I am. I'm also no longer an intern. I am a second year. But hi guys, I'm Sarah. I am newly a second year.
And then, sorry, I'm just going by the list that I have written in front of me. Andrew?
Yeah, hey everyone, my name's Andrew Delott. I'm one of the new interns this year. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. And yeah, just absolutely loving the program. Happy to answer any questions and tell y'all about it.
And then I got Lauren.
Hey everyone, my name is Lauren Spaeth. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and happy to see you all and see your happy faces.
And then how about Sarah Grubenikoff?
Hi everyone. I'm Sarah. I'm a current 3rd year and I'm rising chief, and happy to be here.
And Chris Hammond.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris. I'm a current 3rd year, originally from the Youngstown area. It's nice to see everyone.
Chris is the senior anchor of our ACP Jeopardy team, so if you have any medical questions, he's the one to ask.
You've been stumping us with those questions so far. Yours are always the hardest.
How about Amy Willett?
Hi guys, I'm Amy. I'm one of the 3rd years as well. I'm in part of the clinical research track and also a rising chief resident for next year.
Last but not least, Gianna.
Hey, I'm Gianna, current 2nd year. I am from everywhere except for Ohio. Nice to see everybody.
All right. Well, thank you. And I'm just scrolling up through the chat here. While I get to that, I'm going to ask, let's see, Andrew, Amy, and Gianna, since I know you aren't, or you didn't go to school, medical school in Ohio, but ended up here at Riverside. Want to tell us what kind of drew you either back to Ohio or to Riverside's program in the first place?
Sure, so I can start talking. So I went to VCOM for my medical school down at Virginia Tech. I was actually first introduced to the program through one of these virtual town halls as I guess an outreach that Riverside did with my medical school. I really enjoyed the town hall. I thought that the hospital is, you know, a big size with lots of available pathologies, but the residents all seemed very friendly with each other, and it seemed like a really good kind of small and I guess supportive learning environment within a big hospital. So as I went through my kind of interviews and looking at other programs, I always just kind of kept coming back to the town hall and thinking about how much I enjoyed it and was interested in going to Riverside.
I can kind of talk a little bit more about my experience. I'm from LUCOM, Liberty University College of Osteopathic Medicine down in Lynchburg, not too far away from VCOM at Virginia Tech. I was lucky enough to have one of my siblings rotate at Riverside when he went to medical school when he was at OU, and he always keyed me in to keeping them high on my list because it was always known as like the gem of Ohio. This is what he had told me. I considered a couple things here. I wanted a big enough program that I was going to see a lot, kind of like the pathology that Amy was talking about. I wanted a really good culture of learning and camaraderie, which I can definitely attest to right now is very strong in this program. And I wanted to make sure that the program would be able to kind of give me and direct me to whatever career I wanted: academic, inpatient, hospitalist, or outpatient primary care. And this program, at least in my opinion, is perfect for that. It offers a little bit of everything and can really kind of aid you in whatever direction you want to take it.
Yeah, and I can round it out. Dr. Patel, you actually chose the 3 people who went to med school in Virginia, because I also went to VCOM, same school as Amy. Never knew each other though. But similar, I found out about Riverside through one of these town halls, and just kind of liked the vibe and the energy, and also just kind of the appeal of going to residency in somewhat of a bigger city than I had been accustomed to. But the other thing that really drew me was I was really looking for a program that was going to be kind of heavy on exposure to higher levels of care, because that's something I'm interested in. And I knew Riverside through all these town halls and through my actual interview itself had like a very strong focus on procedural skills, and it's kind of like a lot of exposure to like great complicated pathology, and that's what I was looking for, and that's what drew me here.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I know. I didn't realize I picked all 3 of you, so now I'm going to give a chance to Sarah Grabenikov and Chris, since I know both of you also didn't go to medical school in Ohio. Kind of what I know, Chris is from Ohio originally, and Sarah is not. So what drew you to our program?
Yeah, so I can start. I'm originally from Texas. This kind of just happened by chance. I was one of the class that went through COVID. So COVID like shut down a lot of my hospitals around my medical school, and I was just browsing, visas, looking for a possible rotation to do in person, and I just stumbled upon Riverside by happenstance. So I was lucky enough to have a month-long rotation here, and my in-person experience here was just fantastic, and I was lucky enough to match here.
Yeah, I went to a Caribbean school called Ross, so I just pretty much applied to all the programs in Ohio. And when I heard back from Riverside, like Sarah, with the whole COVID and everything was a lot different. So they put together a good like view of their program, and it was like one of the more comprehensive ones through online and all the online interviewing compared to everyone else. So I thought that like kind of showed me that they were kind of on top of everything, and kind of getting ready to change with everything with COVID. And then just through the interview, even though it wasn't in person, it just seemed like everyone that I talked with through the resident Q&A seemed to really get along, and it was a good culture. So it was mostly why I liked the program. And then obviously Columbus is a good city to move to as well. So those are most of the reasons why I ended up where I am now.
And I'm going to let Sarah Pomerantz and Lauren round this out. I know you both went to school here locally, but what made you want to stay here and come to our program?
Yeah, I can go ahead. So Riverside for me, I'm actually from Columbus, so anytime I was sick or a loved one was sick, Riverside was always the hospital our family went to. And so I grew up around Riverside, and then I rotated as a medical student and just had a great experience. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life besides, starting with internal medicine for residency. And Riverside's a huge hospital, and we have lots of different pathology. I'm actually going to a case conference in Hawaii next month, and I wrote a case report on a patient that he is one of 300 known cases with this pathology. So it's super, you get to see a lot of cool things. Additionally, for me, what was really important was the environment. I knew residency was going to be tough, and I really just wanted to survive residency, to learn as much as I could, and to not be miserable, honestly. And the people that are at Riverside, were more than just co-residents, we're friends. And the fact that we hang out with each other so much outside of medicine, I think, speaks a lot to kind of the relationship that we have, the environment that we have created. I feel like it's a really safe environment to learn, to ask questions. We're always challenging each other's. And I feel like in my, year being at Riverside, I've grown so much, as a physician and as a person. And I couldn't be happier with my decision with Riverside.
I chose Riverside. Sarah and I went to the same school, and so we were lucky enough to be able to do some of our clinical rotations as well as be invited for audition rotations. And I had a great time while I was rotating. But for me, one of the most important parts about Riverside was the mentorship relationships that are readily available if you seek them. And your personal best really can continue to evolve every day, and you're met with mentors that see your potential and help you really become better than you even imagined.
Well, thanks all, and we certainly appreciate you choosing our program, but I think it's helpful for everybody to know what it is that drew you here. So I'm going to scroll back up through the chat. I know some of these have been answered, but maybe hard to read back through the answers, but I did want to highlight a few of these questions. So there's a question about, is there support and resources for step 3? And also, is it possible to conduct research during intern year? So I'm going to ask Sarah Grabenikov and Amy. I know you're both quite heavily involved with research. If you want to take that and field that question.
Amy, I'll start. So yes, absolutely. So the first couple of months while you're getting your feet wet, kind of settling into your resident role, you start, focusing on that initially, but then the program will kind of have a group meeting and kind of see who's interested in research after they, after you say that you are interested. There's an application process for the research program track, and where they talk about what your interests are, what you want to do, and they'll give you a couple of days off during clinic, and also make sure that you are conducting the research. You have somebody that you're checking in with. So initially it's all case reports, but then the goal would be an IRB project. So there's a ton of support here with both faculty members and with our research staff. So it's definitely possible and very encouraged. And even if you're not in the tract, definitely still possibilities, because again, like Sarah Pomeran said, there's a lot of really unique cases here that we're really fortunate to get to see.
Yes, I echo everything that Sarah said. There are absolutely research opportunities here at Riverside, and I have, really enjoyed my research experiences that I've been able to have at the program. As Sarah said, anything ranging from case reports to present as posters or oral presentations at local or national conferences. All the way to doing full IRB projects and manuscripts and with journal publications. It kind of is self-directed as how much you want to be involved in research, which I think is something that's awesome about the program as well, that you can kind of dive in and get as involved in these projects as you want, depending on your interests and how much time and that you want to dedicate to them. I will also say we do have quality improvement projects that are ongoing at our program as well. Kind of tying that into research. That has been a really amazing experience for me to work on methods to improve our clinic and outcomes in our patients. So that's an area that I've been very excited to be involved in also.
Yeah, thank you both.
And
I
sorry. Oh, sorry. I just want to mention that the best thing about the program, I think, is how we're really willing to change. Like Dr. Mariah Barlow is the one that kind of headed up the QI program, and I think we've done a lot of great strides to improve how we are implementing and how we're continuing the QI projects throughout the years. So I think we're really happy, and it's a great program.
And I do see our QI chief, Dr. Aditya Kasari, and our QI faculty lead, Dr. Barlow, on it. Is there anything that you want to add with regards to QI and scholarship?
I think the biggest thing I would add, just to kind of go off of Amy's point, is that not just the ability to be involved in the QI, but it's publishable. We've gotten, I think, 3 or 4 abstracts accepted at this point for presentation on the national stage. So that's another way to just get yourself out there, get the program out there, and represent your interests as a trainee.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to what Dr. Barlow and Amy said. I'm sorry for showing up late. My name's Aditya. I'm one of the chief residents for this year. It's my first week on service, so a little bit of a learning curve for me this week. But glad to have everyone here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
All right, thank you all. I'm going to go to this next question. Part of this was answered. There was a question about HEMONC fellowship, HEMONC rotation, and I know it was answered in the chat. HEMONC is actually a required rotation and an experience that our residents get through our specialty ambulatory clinic. But there's the second part of this question is, how do you help provide networking and finding rotations for trainees? I would love, actually, Chris, Ellen, Aditya, you all are current chiefs. All 3 of you are applying for fellowship. You want to talk about your experience in being able to network, and I know, Ellen, you did an outside rotation, and kind of how to find that guidance within a particular subspecialty.
Yeah, I can go first because I know that there was a question asked by Victor in the chat about specifically gastroenterology fellowship and how much exposure. I mean, this is, like we talked about already, a program where we have vast and diverse clinical experiences. So I feel like anything that you are interested in, we will have those opportunities for you. The only limitation when you think about like the super competitive specialties, which would be cardiology, gastroenterology, pulmonary critical care, as well as HEMONC, would be having an in-house fellowship. So there are, benefits as well as disadvantages to that. Unfortunately, we don't have any in-house fellowships at Riverside, but that doesn't mean that you can't get exposed and you can't get good mentorship. So just talking a little bit about my experience in residency at Riverside, I knew coming in that I had an interest in gastroenterology that I developed as a medical student. So I remember I told Dr. Bose on one of the very first days that I had that interest, and immediately he had told me to reach out to a GI doctor that has been helping a lot of our residents get case reports as well as research studies done, as well as just provide general mentorship to get into the field of GI. So I, from the very first few weeks, had that established already. So there are opportunities to get mentorship and seek those out if you are interested. We have a private group, Ohio Gastro, that they're growing like every day, their practice. So there are many GI doctors around that you can connect with, especially based on your interests. My particular interest is in hepatology. So interestingly, about a year and a half ago, we had 2 hepatologists that joined the practice and formed the comprehensive liver clinic at Riverside. So it's very exciting to see this group grow as well as bring new services to our hospital. And I've also been able to establish some mentorship in hepatology because of that. So I've been able to go to national conferences like the American College of Gastroenterology to present research as well as network with others around the country. And I know Sarah has been there a few times with me at those conferences too. So I feel like anything that you're interested in, there will be support here, and there will be people to help guide you in the next step. Dr. Patel had mentioned I did do an away rotation, so I would highly recommend that. And I'm grateful for our program to allow that flexibility and allowing us to go outside to gain further experience. So I ended up going to Pittsburgh for a month to rotate in GI and hepatology. And I think it really benefited me a lot. So I was very grateful for that experience.
I can go next. I'll piggyback on what Ellen said. I echo a lot of the same points. She brought up the fact that there's no fellowships technically at Riverside in those competitive specialties. They're at doctors. But that's also where it's a detriment as far as directly like transferring into those fellowships. You have direct contact with those attendings when you're on service with them. So both Aditya and I want to do cardiology. And we worked with some of the highest volume cath performing physicians, cardiologists in the United States. I think we're number 2 or number 3 in caths in the United States. So I'm directly working with these people, taking care of the patients that they did catheterizations on for STEMIs, working with them on people with balloon pumps. And then that directly leads to those relationships of, hey, I really like doing this like work with you, or I thought it was really fun working with you this week. Do you have any research projects that come up? And it's not like the fellows will get in the way and say, hey, you have to go through me first, and then I'll take care of those patients, then I'll talk to the attending. You're talking to the attending, some of the best people in the United States for CAS. Some people are literally world renowned for the work that they do. So while you don't have that direct pathway to a fellowship necessarily at Riverside for these competitive specialties, you can form these relationships with people who know other people. One of the cardiologists that I worked with, Dr. Graywall, was the head of Ohio's chapter for American College of Cardiology. Directly worked with him on multiple projects, and then that led me into talking to other people that's in the same group, just to work with more different specialties and different projects. And it's not like these attendings are in some castle over on the top of the hill somewhere else where you can't find them. They're like upstairs a floor or two. So you just go and say, hey, are you working on anything? And they might say no, but you're the only person that's asking. There's no fellow that gets there. There's a handful of other people that might be interested in the specialty, and you end up working with them to finish those projects. So you help each other out a lot too. So that's a good way to form those connections for providing fellowship expertise.
Yeah, I agree with what Chris and Ellen said. One thing I'll add is that our program leadership is very invested in getting you to your goals. I've been here now for a little more than 3 years, and since the start of that, as far as GI, we've added a hepatology resident service. We've added a hepatobiliary service. As far as for people interested in cardiology, we've added a cath lab interventional cardiology service and a CICU service. For hem-onc, we've added like a BMT service. And what that really speaks to is that our hospital's growing in a lot of different ways. And what more importantly, it speaks to our program leadership being invested in getting us involved into these areas of growth. So I think if you come to Riverside with a plan for fellowship and you're willing to work hard, you can get to whatever fellowship you want to get to. It just might take you a little more time and a little more effort than some other places.
All right, thank you. Appreciate those answers. I have a question here about the presentation mentioned looking to increase community service opportunities for residents. Was wondering what sorts of programs residents are currently involved with. Andrew, you had answered that in the chat, but was hoping maybe you might be able to elaborate with the rest of the group.
Yeah, I've had like a little bit of a background in history, especially during med school, about like getting involved in the community a little bit, kind of volunteering with different organizations. One thing I'm looking forward to is there's a free clinic that's actually set up through Ohio State that historically some Riverside Methodist residents, both family medicine and internal medicine, have kind of been involved in. Usually meets on Thursdays. So that's something I'm looking forward to specifically being involved in. One thing I'm really passionate about is like the social determinants of health. It's something that we specifically talk about here in our residency, and that was actually required by my school to get educated about. It's not always a requirement, but it's really, really important. It's something that we hit on in our ambulatory clinic. It's something that we really should all consider when, seeing patients really at any time. And so that's something that I've really, noticed as a strength of this program, is talking about that. And I'm glad that, have some opportunities in a big city like Columbus to be involved with, other students, other healthcare professionals, not just at Riverside, but also at, Ohio State and some other places as well, which is exciting.
And I'm gonna ask, I know, Mariah, you added some information in there. Also ask if Ellen, you have any more comments to this particular question.
Yeah, I think Dr. Barlow had noted an activity that we did actually this month, it's still August. This is an active area that we are improving within our residency to provide more residency-wide volunteering and advocacy opportunities. We had our first outing as a group. We offered it was the event called African American Male Wellness Day, and it was a weekend day where we had the opportunity to go and offer free health screenings for the African American population here, as well as guide them on next steps on their, A1C readings, blood pressure. So it was a very health-centric event that we were able to be a part of, and we also went with some of our colleagues from the Physician Diversity Scholars who are residents from other programs. Upcoming for next month, there is a Good Neighbors Picnic for the unhoused population here in Columbus. We are also planning to get a group together to go and do a half day of community service together there. So we are hoping to have more of these events ongoing throughout the year around Columbus, where we can get together as a group and serve our community. We're very excited about that.
Any of our other residents want to add anything? I will also add, if you are interested, on September 20th, we are doing another town hall that is specifically focused on justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, and we'll do a deeper dive into advocacy, community service, and something that has been an active part of been actively being developed within our program, and have a lot of things that we have planned for not only this year, but laying the foundation for years to come. I have another question down here, near and dear to my heart. Could you talk more about the ACE curriculum, and is there an application process for this? I hope to become an academic internist, so I'm very interested in the pathway. And I will ask, well, Amy, Sarah Grubenikov, and I know all three of our chiefs, you all have been through, various iterations of the ACE program. It is again changing slightly this year, but maybe want to speak to your experience and what you've gotten from that.
So I can start talking about the ACE program. So there is not an application process for it. You simply express interest, and you're able to be kind of participate in the course as it goes on throughout the year. Dr. Patel has a kind of an outline of different topics that he addresses, everything from giving feedback to medical education learners to how to teach medical education learners, whether it be presentations or chalk talks, different strategies for getting people to kind of interact in lectures and fostering safe learning environments for residents. The list of kind of topics goes on and on. Each week we kind of focus on one or two topics and really take time to work through that. It's usually a pretty interactive session, either practicing giving feedback and then getting feedback on your feedback from your colleagues. And it was a really good experience for me to kind of start developing skills and how to educate other medical learners at different levels. It's something that's been fairly new to me within the last year and kind of learning how to teach and how to interact with other medical learners, but it's been a great introduction for me and something that I am really actively working to apply in my everyday interactions with my learners that I'm working with, whether it's medical students or interns or second year residents when I'm on rotation with them.
I can go next. So yeah, we meet about once a month for like an hour and a half after work. Again, these sessions are really interactive, and even if you're not interested in the academic pathway, I think it's great for literally all pathways. Dr. Patel teaches great skills like one, identifying like problems that medical students, interns, anyone's having. Two, how to address the problem. And coaching specifically, and also giving feedback and receiving feedback yourself. So again, these are all really great things that I think all physicians, all residents should have. And yeah, it's a great program that also continues. Dr. Patel's like seeking feedback about how to improve it. And just as in general, our program, I think, is really responsive, again, to the feedback. So they're taking everything that, we're saying to them and trying to apply it. So I think that I can already tell like how to, the helpful hints that he's given through the ACE curriculum that I've implemented has been really helpful.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of Amy and Sarah, this has definitely been one of the gems of our programs since I've been in residency, the ACE curriculum. Dr. Patel, like he mentioned, this topic is near and dear to his heart, and I feel like he brings that passion every day, and it's infectious, honestly. So it's been great to be a part of, and I feel like one of my favorite parts is it's really not a group where we just sit through PowerPoints. Like was mentioned, it's very interactive. There's a lot of small group skills practice sessions, as well as like real world experiences, meaning like on the spot coaching. So we, as ACE participants, we sign up to give our med student chalk talks on Thursday mornings. So that's a special time where it's just medical students that are currently here for a Riverside IM rotation. And one of us gets up there with the topic of our choice and does a chalk talk. And then we get like feedback right after we're done about things we did well and things to incorporate next time. So I feel like those types of experiences really meant a lot, and it's really been a good skill set to develop throughout residency, as well as obviously being a chief resident. We're doing more of now, so it's really set me up for success.
Thank you all. I appreciate that. And I promise you, I didn't pay them to say that about me. I know we're coming close to here on time, and I do want to maybe round out with just a few more questions for our residents. I will ask Gianna and Sarah Pomerantz. You've finished intern year, which is often seen as the most challenging year of residency, and finally got a chance to settle in, and was hoping you could reflect a little bit back on your intern year and share any pieces of advice that you might have for potential applicants.
Yeah, sure. Actually was doing a little bit of reflection on this the other week, so it's not too far off for me. But kind of the biggest thing for me that I kind of anticipated and realized throughout the course of my intern year was you kind of hit the ground running regardless of what you start on. And I'm sure that'll be the place no matter what residency you end up going to as well. But at a certain point, like it stops feeling like you're running and you're kind of just jogging, and then it suddenly feels like you're just walking. Like everything just kind of slowly clicks into place as you kind of continue on. And I don't know why I used a running metaphor because I hate running, but that's kind of was the biggest realization from intern year is things just kind of slowly fall into place as much as you don't think they are. It's just things slowly start getting a little bit easier, a little bit more manageable until finally you're just doing it.
Yeah, and for me, I don't know. I think my expectation of what residency was that I was going to be miserable. I was really, really scared for residency. I thought it was going to be hard. I didn't know if I could make it, but I'm really glad I went with my gut and chose Riverside because honestly, I have never been so happy in my life. I'm finally doing, you know, what I always wanted to do. And being surrounded by such a great group of faculty and co-residents, and you do have tough days. The hours can be long, but I wake up and look forward going to work, knowing that like I'm doing what I love, and I'm surrounded by people that are pushing me to be, a better version of myself and are there to support me when things get tough. So my advice would be to go with your gut and choose a program that, you know, is going to create an environment that sets you up for success.
Thank you both. And I want to ask Andrew and Lauren, you are closest to this recruitment process. You will stick with Gianna's metaphor. You are still running and maybe haven't had a chance to think and reflect yet, but I will ask you here to take a second and kind of reflect and maybe share your experiences with transitioning to residency, the onboarding process, or any other pieces of advice that you might want to share with potential applicants.
Andrea, you can go first. Oh, okay, that's fine. I would say just enjoy the ride. You don't realize how much time you have until you don't have it anymore. And so I would just try and enjoy this time, even though it's stressful. And once you're done and graduated, really try and spend as much time as possible with people that you love and really communicate, with them the demand that is about to happen on your schedule. That way it's not a surprise and you're surrounded by a lot of support once it actually does start, because you need it more than you even can imagine.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I really want to echo kind of everything that Sarah and Gianna and everyone else has kind of said. Jumping right in is definitely the way it goes here, and that's exactly what I wanted. I really wanted a program that was going to challenge me from the get-go. I didn't, want necessarily to kind of wait for my opportunity. And I really, honestly reflected on this after just getting out of the ICU for the last month. I had an opportunity of working with Amy. She was one of my seniors, and it was a great experience. I did all of the procedures that Dr. Bose, kind of told you that we would do. I was challenged every single day, but the level of support that I had through all of my rotations so far, especially in the ICU, has honestly been a shock and tremendous. And I'm like, I feel like I'm striding, but at the same time, I'm still being challenged on a daily basis. And that's just, really fostering a lot of learning. And, thinking back on this so far, it's kind of amazing how much I've learned so far. But as I get deeper in, I realize that there's still an incredible amount of things I need to learn. But I know that, the program's there to support me. And then hopefully by the time I'm in, everyone else's shoes that's in here, I'll be just as, I'll feel just as well about this. So it's been a really great experience. And I'm really looking forward to the rest of the year. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Thank you both. And maybe I'll out with Chris Hammond and Sarah Gorbenikov and Amy. Amy and Sarah, I know you both will be staying on for another year, but all three of you are third-year residents and, essentially ready to become attendings here in the not too distant future, kind of sharing your reflections as you've gone through the program and how and what has helped kind of prepare you to meet your goals.
All right. So for me, I think the biggest strength of the program has really been the mentorship that I've received, as kind of echoed from our interns and second years. I've kind of felt the same way going through each stage of training. I've always felt I had support of upper levels, an amazing mentorship from attendings who really just want the best for us and kind of notice our strengths and emphasize those and notice our weaknesses and help make them better and into strengths. So I'm interested in cardiology and I've really had great mentorship in that and in research as well. And I'm just very happy that this is the program that I ended up at.
Yeah, I echo what everyone else has already said. I think that, looking back over the past 3 years, it's kind of been a wild ride. It went by so quickly, and I think looking back to the resident I was at the intern year is vastly different. I feel much more confident. My knowledge has grown, and I'm just thankful that this program has gotten me to where I am now.
Yeah, I don't think I have too much more to add either. I think just kind of going off what Sarah Pomerantz said, I think with the culture here and making it enjoyable to go to work is probably the best thing that's going to get you through all the difficult times and really fight any burnout that you hear so much about. So, enjoying work and wanting to go, and when you get there, having a good time, I think really helps get you through, because it will be difficult, but you'll get through it in the end, and you'll realize it went by fast and you had a good time.
All right. Well, thank you for senior residents to take us home. And I know we're up here on time. It's 7:30, and I want to be respectful of everybody's evening time and appreciate you all joining us this evening. As I mentioned before, if you want to go back and listen to this again, we'll hopefully have this recording up here in the next few days. And if you'd like to join us again and have some more questions, please join us again in a few weeks on the 20th of September as well. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you again, and also wish you all the best of luck as you go through the residency recruitment process. Have a good evening, everybody.